Hey, and welcome to episode 39 of the Computer Business Marketing Show. Our show today is brought to you by Tech Site Builder. Tech Site Builder is a hosted website builder that allows you to quickly and easily get a clean, professional, and effective website up and running for your IT business. Save time and frustration with Tech Site Builder. Learn more at techsitebuilder.com. It's also brought to you by Computer Business Breakthrough. Computer Business Breakthrough is an online training program where you can learn how to escape the grinding break-fix mindset of cheap clients and feast or famine finances so you can focus on becoming a truly sought-after expert in your field. Check it out at computerbusinessbreakthrough.com. Now, how does marketing change from running a part-time business to running a full-time business? We're going to answer that question today with Chenell Tull from Conversion Owl Marketing. We'll see how marketing changes when you make the leap to full-time business ownership, because she recently did that in her own business. Plus, we'll dig into Facebook and Google ad tips with Chenell. All that and so much more coming up right now. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Computer Business Marketing Show. If you own or work in an IT services business, this is the place to be to learn how to get more clients, keep them happy, and grow your revenue. You can watch, download, and or subscribe to all show episodes at computerbusinessmarketing.com. You can also catch our live stream on Facebook right now, every Wednesday or Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Just be sure to like the Tech Site Builder Facebook page, click the following tab, and then in that drop-down list, select See First, so that anytime we go live, it'll jump to the top of your news feed and you can check it out. As always, we love to see you live watching the show. Love to get your feedback. We always do a little chat about the weather beforehand, small talk, but still it's fun to see how folks are doing in other parts of the country, other parts of the world. And that's the fun part of having a global audience like you do on Facebook. You get to see how things are going all across the world. Awesome. Well, today I'm excited to have Chenell Tull on. She has a company called Conversion Owl Marketing, and she does Facebook ads and Google AdWords consulting for small businesses. And she's going to be on, her and I are going to actually kind of compare notes about how marketing transitions and changes from when you're running a business part-time to when you take it full-time, and what things you need to keep in mind and what things you need to consider, and how the marketing efforts need to kind of ramp up as you take it full-time. So Chenell recently took her business efforts full-time, and I had that same transition a few years ago, so we're going to kind of talk about our experiences there and hopefully help you guys out as well. We'll also chat a little bit about Google ads and Facebook ads and all of that stuff. So stick around for that. Before we jump into the interview, though, just want to kind of take care of a few housekeeping things. Wanted to remind you guys of the Unconvention 2018 is happening in Chicago this year. We're still working out the details, but we're very close to releasing the venue and the hotel. We've got a couple awesome guests lined up and a lot of other cool things that we're going to be announcing pretty soon. So in order to be the first to hear about that, head on over to unconvention.io and get on the waiting list. And then we'll let you know when tickets are available and when all of the other cool info is available. But I'm super excited about this year. We're kind of taking it to the next level from the last couple years of the Unconvention. And I can't wait to share that stuff with you guys. But for now, just head on over to unconvention.io and sign up for updates. Also, speaking of updates, another place you can go to get a different type of update is head on over to computerbusinessmarketing.com. And that's where you can sign up for the Computer Business Marketing newsletter. And the newsletter is a weekly digest of kind of the top marketing news from around the internet. And, we also have the latest podcast episode there. And if I do any kind of videos, we'll be there as well. We also share some of the top posts from the Facebook group. So, just get your weekly dose of marketing goodness and kick off your week on the right foot. So sign up for the Computer Business Marketing newsletter over at computerbusinessmarketing.com. Finally, we actually have a review, and I'm sorry to Brian. This is our big fan, Brian, who left us a Stitcher review, and I had been forgetting to check reviews on Stitcher, so I didn't see this one. This is a few months old now, but Brian left a review, a 5-star review. We really appreciate it, Brian, and he said, really enjoy listening to the show each week as I run 2 small computer repair businesses, and this show gives better advice than some marketing companies I've dealt with. Actually, their advice and the knowledge they give in the podcast relates to most other industries and not just the computer repair type companies, as we are all basically trying to get our brand out there, get more and better quality clients. Great, Brian, great insights. I appreciate that. Yeah, all the stuff we talk about in the podcast is really general marketing advice, but as a former computer business owner, I try to focus it in and kind of apply it to you guys, because I know you could listen to a generic marketing podcast or read generic marketing articles, and then it takes kind of an extra effort to figure out, number one, if it applies to you as a computer business owner, but number two, how you can apply it uniquely to IT businesses. And that's something we try to do with this podcast, is take all of the inundation of different marketing ideas that are out there and kind of cherry pick the ones that I think will work well for computer businesses, and then present it to you. So I'm glad, Brian, that you're appreciating that. And if you guys want to leave a review for the podcast, we definitely appreciate it. Just wherever you listen to it, iTunes or Stitcher, leave a review, and I will try to check. I check iTunes and Stitcher, but if there's some other place that's out there that you can leave a podcast review, let me know. And let me know that you left a review, and I'll read it on the air. So appreciate that. And that's it. So let's go ahead, and before we jump into the interview, just want to mention our first sponsor, and that is Tech Site Builder. Tech Site Builder is the place to go to get a computer business, or a website up and running for your computer business. Not a computer business up and running for your website. That wouldn't make sense. No, it's a place you can go to get a website up and running for your computer business. What Tech Site Builder does is it gives you a platform with all the tools you need to build a website that's specifically optimized for computer businesses. So we give you, we give you all the tools you need, but none of the tools you don't. So, if you were to install a WordPress website and, grab a template from somewhere, you'd have all these extra widgets and doodads that you probably don't need with a computer repair business. You just need some very specific things. Also, Tech Site Builder is optimized for local businesses. So we have all the code in the background that we use, stuff like schema markup and this coding stuff in the background to tell Google, hey, this is a local business. Here's the address. Make sure you know that this is the address of the business. All that stuff is optimized, so you don't have to worry about that. It's fast, it's secure. So all you need to worry about is building an awesome website, adding your own content, maybe updating the blog posts, throwing a picture of your shop and stuff on there. And then you'll know that you have a good looking, solid, optimized website. And then you don't have to worry about it. Then you can go back to running your computer business and leave the rest to us. So if that sounds good, if your website needs an update, it hasn't been updated in a while, if you're not getting any clients or any leads from your website, then it's time to check out Tech Site Builder at techsitebuilder.com. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get into the interview. Today, I have Chenell Tull on. She is the owner of Conversion Owl Marketing, a marketing service that does Google ads and Facebook ads for small businesses. She also runs a blog called Hustle to Startup, where she talks about her journey from part-time to full-time business ownership. Welcome, Chenell. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, Matt.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to have you. So I always like to talk to folks who are at various stages of running their own business. And I think your case is unique because not only are you running a marketing business, and so you're kind of deep into the Facebook ads and the Google ads and all that stuff, but you're also recently transitioned from part-time business ownership to full-time business ownership. So that kind of, you said it was summer of last year that happened?
Yeah, June of 2017.
Yeah. So, you've got that experience kind of fresh in your mind, and you've been blogging about it at Hustle to Startup. And I know from blogging about my experience that when you write something down, it kind of cements it in your head that much better, and you like the things that happen in your experiences. You tend to remember them, and you tend to like think through them better because you're trying to write them down. So that helped me at least process all the things I was going through and kind of better think about the things that was happening to me as I was going through the transition. Have you found something similar to that?
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of being able to write about it in the moment is kind of helpful to look back on in a few months. Like, it's only been a few months since I started writing the blog, and looking back on some of the posts, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Or just kind of learn from your past experiences, even though they were only a couple months ago.
Right. So how's it going? How have things been going so far with full-time business ownership?
It's going really well. I've had a lot of people reach out that needed help that I didn't know needed help when I quit. So had a lot of referrals I wasn't expecting come my way, which is really nice.
So how did you get the word out about making that transition?
So I had been running a personal finance blog talking about paying off my student loans. And so I got really heavy into the personal finance community. And so a lot of those bloggers needed help with Facebook ads or Google AdWords, some even SEO that I'm helping them with. And so I just kind of spread the word through there. It was mostly referrals from that.
Very cool. Yeah, I think it's important to, if you're ready to make that transition, to like get the word out as much as possible. Let people know what's going on. Definitely don't keep it a secret, because when you let people know that that's happening, then they're like, even if they knew what you were doing before, they think, well, maybe they didn't use your services before because they thought, well, you're just doing that part-time. Maybe you don't have time for me, or maybe, you don't know what you're doing or something like that. But now that you're committed to it, they're like, oh, okay, well now, maybe I'll try to hire you because I have this need that I didn't think you could fulfill before, but now maybe you could fulfill. I'm thinking maybe that might be part of the reason why people come out of the word work as soon as you announce that you're going full-time.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually got my first paying client because I changed my Facebook my LinkedIn employer. So I still had my full-time job, but I posted that I had like a company, and I wrote Facebook ads and Google AdWords. And someone in the personal finance community saw that, and they referred me to someone, even though they had no idea if I did good work or anything. They just saw that I was doing it. So little changes online really do help.
Awesome. Well, okay. So I guess that we're kind of getting into the tips now. So what I kind of wanted to start with, your experiences trying to hustle running your business while you had a full-time job. What were some of the ways you got the word out about your business at that time, and how were you finding clients when you only had limited time to do so?
Yeah. So my stepdad actually started a company, and he knows nothing about digital marketing. So I kind of just took over everything he was doing, built him a website, started him running Google AdWords, doing local SEO. So that helped me learn. And then I was able to tell people what I did through that, and kind of just share the word that way. But to find time, I mean, literally I was getting up at 3 a.m., going online, learning all I could, and kind of sharing all of the wins that I was having with my client. I only had one at that time. So
you got
sharing that.
Right? Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Were you at that time, were you just kind of doing like freelance consulting, or did you already have like the Conversion Owl name set up?
I did have the name set up. I did that pretty early. I'm not sure why, but I felt like I needed a business name. So that was one of the first things I did, actually. And from there, I just kind of was sharing it around as Conversion Owl. And I guess that sounded legit. So people took a chance and kind of had me help them. So that was good.
Very cool. Now, did you do anything to try to get like referrals and stuff, or did they just kind of come naturally?
Honestly, they did come naturally, just because I had that previous network within the personal finance community. A lot of them just came through that. And
you said you had been like blogging about personal finance?
Yeah, I had a personal finance blog about paying off my student loans. And so through commenting on other blogs and people finding that, we kind of had relationships built. even though it had nothing to do with marketing at the time, once it started to turn into marketing for me, that's how I kind of got the word out. People just knew who I was, and I was able to connect that way.
I think that's a really good marketing hack that people should use and they don't use, is to establish yourself in a community that is, you know, part of some kind of customer niche that you can eventually, you know, provide services for. Like, I know I had, his name was Eric Ham. He was a guest, an early guest on my previous podcast called the Computer Business Marketing, the Computer Business Podcast. And he had an interesting story where he started out as a computer business owner and then transitioned to a web developer. And I kind of followed the same path he did, but I interviewed him before I followed that path. But anyways, he talked about how his business exploded because he got in with one real estate agent, and he was working on the real estate agent's computer, and that real estate agent happened to be, you know, very well networked with other real estate agents. And that's like a community where, you know, word spreads like wildfire. And so he was able to embed himself in that community. He started doing talks to other real estate agents and started hanging out on the forums. And that just kind of snowballed, and he became the IT support guy for real estate agents. And I think if you can find a community, even if it's like a hobby, like for example, you know, had student loans that you were trying to pay off, and you found a system that was working for you and you talked about it. If you have people listening, if you have like a hobby or, you know, some kind of thing you're interested in, make sure to get embedded in that community, start a blog, because we're all techies. We know how to throw up a website, start blogging about it, start really being active in that community. And then, hey, by the way, I fix computers. So, you know, you'll start to become the computer fixer for that type of community. I think that's a great kind of marketing hack, that you don't need to spend money on ads or, you know, doing anything crazy. You just kind of embed yourself in a community of all these like-minded people, and you become the expert for those people. And it seems like that kind of worked well for you.
Yeah, and there's actually a tech guy in the personal finance community who did this. And in the whole Facebook group, like every time someone needs help with a computer issue, they tag him. Like, he is the guy. And he's just established that, because if a plugin on WordPress has like a hack in the back and you need to update it quickly so your site isn't affected, he'll go into that group and like publish it and like tag people that he knows that uses that. And like, he's just so helpful, and people love just being helped by him. So they refer him out like crazy. Very cool. Yeah, and
that's another thing, you know, be helpful. You know, don't be afraid to offer free advice and help people out. I know there are some folks I see who like always want to say, hey, I'll help you, you know, PM me, or, you know, you can hire me for blah, blah, blah an hour to answer, you know, some simple question. When instead, if you're just being helpful, you offer up that information, that builds your reputation. And like you said, now people will start tagging you, and you start being the go-to person for stuff. And eventually there'll be a big enough project where you can't just answer a question in Facebook. They actually need to hire you. Right. If you're being helpful, you don't really need to worry about trying to get the work. It'll just kind of come naturally. It sounds like that's kind of what happened with you as well.
Yep. And people started tagging me in that Facebook group. If someone was asking a question about Google AdWords or Facebook ads, they would tag me. And it's funny because Facebook groups have a search feature. So if someone else had that question later, they could search that topic and that post will come up and they'll see that I was tagged. So then I've had customers come through that, just people seeing that I was tagged 2 months ago, and they come knocking and say, hey, I need help.
Nice.
So
very cool. Yeah. In the chat, Grant says, work on selling yourself before your product. And I think that's a great advice.
It is.
You know, establish that trust first, and then you can, once someone, you know, becomes friendly with you and they trust you, and then, you know, you can kind of bring up anything. And if it's a need they have, you'll be the first one they talk to.
Yep. Exactly.
Was there anything else you did running your business part-time to try to get clients? Especially, let's start thinking about when you were starting to get the idea that, hey, this might be something I can do full-time.
Yep. The number one thing I was doing was networking. So I was going on meetup.com, searching for marketing groups or small business groups, entrepreneurship, anything that was semi-related. And I would just go to a bunch of them. It was tiring. Like I said, I'd wake up at 3:30, I'd go to work at 6:30, come home, it's like 6 o'clock, and then I'd go out to a meetup. So it was like very exhausting, but it was definitely helpful. And I've met, a lot of people in this area that have now referred me business. So it doesn't always come that day or in a couple weeks, but as you start building your network, you start getting known in the area and people will refer business to you.
Yeah, that's a great, you said exhausting. that's the word I would definitely describe in-person networking is it's exhausting, but it does pay off. Like you said, probably not at the time, but you just, again, it's kind of like showing up in the forums, right? People get to know you, and you might see the same person at different events, and you start building this circle. And the cool thing about like the entrepreneurship networking groups and meetups is that it becomes like a referral network, right? Because you meet people who are doing other things, and then they can have someone. For example, you meet, a marketer and I'm a computer repair person. And so they can refer their clients who have computer problems to me. I can refer clients who, have a business that needs marketing help to them. And it kind of becomes kind of an ad hoc referral group, which is cool.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you think it's something too similar to you, like everyone is working on websites and you're a website builder, there are so many niches that you might think you have a million competitors in that room, but actually everyone can refer each other business and you actually get more quality leads from that, I think.
Right. Yeah. Like if you're the, like with my example before, if you're the computer person for real estate agents, and especially because like a lot of those verticals have like specialty software that you need to really know to be able to support it, or, special needs that not the average business will have, and you become that expert in that particular field, and yeah, that works out really well. And that's why I always recommend people find a niche, whether it's a vertical niche like that or like a technology niche like virus removal or data recovery, something that you can really be super good at, really focus on, and then you can be the person that takes care of that stuff. And that helps online and offline.
Yeah. And it seems so counterintuitive because you feel like you're putting yourself into a rabbit hole and you're only taking certain clients, but it actually helps you with marketing and positioning. And if you're doing a blog, you know exactly who to write for. So it's really helpful actually. And you can expand that later, but I think starting with one niche, so to speak, is actually really, really powerful.
Cool. Yeah. Great advice. So, and I think, I kind of ran into all the same things you did. Do you focus locally on your services, or do you just kind of open it up to whoever you get referred to?
So, because I was in the personal finance niche, a lot of my clients are personal finance bloggers or are financial advisors, but I also have a local photography client, and my stepdad is in the flooring business. So I don't turn people away necessarily, but my specialty is in the personal finance online blogging niche. So that's kind of where I am. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So for kind of hyper local businesses like computer repair, I know a few things I did was like do flyer drops, going around to businesses and trying to go inside and like meet the receptionist, or dropping flyers on cars, or even going door to door in residential neighborhoods and hanging door hangers and stuff, just trying to get the word out as much as possible physically, because online it's hard to focus locally, because most communities online are, national, like forums and stuff that don't cater to a local area. So sometimes you have to go out and kind of do physically either networking groups like you did, or, do those flyer drops, or put your business card in coffee shops and stuff and get the word. I think the big thing you're trying to do when you're running the business part-time is just get the word out there as much as possible.
Yeah.
Try to find whoever you can to pay you to do work, and just start building a list of paying clients, and eventually, you'll get to the point. So what was your threshold to say, okay, now I'm ready to take this business full time?
I had saved 8 months expenses. So I decided on a number of like how much money I needed to, if the business crashed and I couldn't get a client for 8 months, I would be okay. So that was kind of like my threshold of risk tolerance. So once I had that saved up, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like this is time.
Cool. Yeah. Mine was 6 months.
Okay.
Now I wish I would have done 12 months because there was a very slow period. Like at first I had a wave of clients and referrals and stuff, but then that died down. And then I realized like I needed to actually start marketing. And so during that, there was a transition period there where I was definitely hurting. So I wish I would have had a little bit more buffer room. But yeah, it's definitely, it's different, but I would try to get as much buffer money as possible before you quit. 6, 8 months in there is a good.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said about recurring revenue too. Like I understand computer business, like the whole thing is usually like a one-time service or like maybe once a year, once every other year. But if you can engineer something that's recurring, even if it's like $20 a month for your customers and like you'll come out next day within 24 hours or something. Most people won't use the service and you'll end up, having that recurring revenue. So it's more stable in a sense than, okay, I fixed this person's computer for $100 and now I have to go find 10 more clients so that I don't run out of money next week, So I think thinking of different like creative ways to add services to your business is really helpful.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. There's a recurring model in computer repair, and we call it managed services, which is basically, you'll put some software on someone's computer and it'll update it and scan it for viruses, and you keep it going, and then you charge them monthly for that. I think a lot of people, when they're starting a computer business, they think that that's something to work up to. Like, let me, just get all these one-off clients first, and then eventually I'll get to the point where I can start doing managed services. But I agree with you where I think it's great to think of that from the very beginning, and every new client you get, try to get them on some sort of recurring maintenance, because it helps your business immensely, right? With the predictable income and the snowball effect of that. But I think it's also just the best solution for your clients as well, because it's proactive. They're being watched and monitored and being kept updated and stuff, and that's going to prevent issues from happening in the future. So it's a win-win, and I think there's no better time to do that than right away before you go full time, because that's a way to kind of hedge your bets a little bit, right? I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like providing them peace of mind, and then you also get that in return, because if you have that recurring income, you know what to expect. And then you can actually spend time on finding new clients instead of like rushing to just like take any business you can. So
it's a great idea. So yeah, you get that recurring revenue going as soon as possible. I like that. All right. So we've been running our business part-time. We're ready to take it full-time. We're trying to kind of ramp things up, get that buffer money ready to fall back on if we need it. So for you, when you quit your job and started running the business full time, how did you balance the trying to get new clients and working on existing clients? How did you work that out at first?
It's still something to work on and improve. It's tough because you have certain clients and you want to like wow them so that they stay around, but then you also know that you have to keep finding new clients to make sure that you have that revenue coming in. So I don't know, it's tough, and I think it just comes down to discipline. I set up like time blocks on my schedule to like, I'm working on this client for 2 hours and like this one for 2 hours, and then from 1 to 3 p.m. I'm just doing like prospecting and looking for new people. Nice. So it's kind of just time blocking and trying to stick to that, even though it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, the biggest surprise I had when going from part-time to full-time was that I thought I would have like all this time to do all these things that I was wanting to do in my business, and for some reason I felt like I had less time. Like when I was running it part-time, I think I didn't feel the pressure to be constantly getting clients and constantly doing a lot of work. I didn't need to be, so I had more free time to do other stuff. When I went full time, I just, my day filled up with all this stuff so quickly that it just seemed like I was busier when I was full time than when I was part time. Is that something you're running into?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's funny because I was waking up so early and going to bed later, and I still do that, but I only have one job. So
Right.
I don't know how I fill my time, but it works. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things you've done differently in marketing now that you're running your business full time, if anything?
So I am trying to boost my referrals because that is still my number one source of clients. So on every invoice I send, I say, hey, if you refer someone, I'll give you 20% off your next month's service, because I have most of my clients are recurring. So I give them 20% off the next month, or if they're not a client, I'll give them like $100 cash or something, just to kind of boost that referral network and
By
keep
the way,
people
that's a great
thinking about you.
idea to, if you have a recurring client, to get referrals from them, to, give them a discount or like the next month free or something. I think that's a great kind of incentive, and it's not really hurting you too much, because the next month after that they're going to go back to whatever whatever they were regularly paying.
Right. And I actually say, if the client stays on for 10 months, like I'll give you 20% off for those 10 months, because it's still more income than I would have had if they hadn't referred someone. And so it's kind of like benefiting both of us. So I don't know. I feel like it's just a goodwill kind of thing.
So now I'm curious, and this is kind of a sidebar, but I'm curious, how do you charge for the work? Because I've always wondered if you're doing consulting for advertising, because the client needs to pay money towards the advertising, then they also need to pay you. Do you scale up what they pay you based on what they're spending on the ads, or do you have like a flat fee?
At this point, I have a flat fee, but none of my clients are big enough to the point where they're spending like 50 grand a month.
Right.
Once it gets to that point, I'm sure I will change my pricing model, but this is how I started and it's where I am. But I've been thinking about that a lot lately, because with some clients, you can't just have like that flat fee. Like 1 month they'll double their ad spend and you're doing twice the work. So I don't know. I kind of tell people this is the fee right now, and as we scale, we'll kind of figure it out. And they're usually okay with that.
Right. So you're kind of, it sounds like the kind of clients you're taking on kind of have similar needs, and they kind of have similar budgets that they're spending anyway.
Right. Exactly.
Cool. Yeah. That's something that I've always wondered about. And I know there's folks listening to this who are also kind of maybe providing those types of services as well, that might be wondering that as well. So that's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So was there anything else that's kind of changed since you've been going full time?
I've been trying out a few different things, like cold emailing. I'm just getting started with. I know it's like a numbers game, but I figure it might as well try it. I've gotten a few responses, no customers yet, but we'll see.
How are you doing that? Are you doing it just to like in the financial space, or are you trying to go outside of that?
So one of my clients is actually, he runs a conference, and I love helping him with his Facebook ads. So I'm trying to go after more of those kinds of clients as well. So I've been just reaching out to event promoters or people who are running new conferences. Maybe they're like 2 years in or something. So we had really good success with his campaigns, and I kind of want to duplicate that. And it's more fun helping people with like an event that has like video and fun advertising. So
cool. So an entirely selfish question: what kinds of ads have you found? Because last year for the unconvention, I tried running some Facebook ads, and it was successful. We had a very small budget to do so we're just kind of trying to get a little bit of awareness out there. But what have you found works as far as like messaging and medium for event ads?
So we mostly did Facebook and some Instagram, but honestly, I think it's more of the targeting and making sure that like your messaging is doing well, and kind of like conveying what they're going to get out of that conference. Carousel ads are great. Like if you have speaker images, so you can they can swipe through and see different speakers that are coming. Like
yeah.
So those ones did really well. And then just like getting people excited and like sharing parts of the city. Like I don't know, for Chicago, have like a pizza emoji on there or something, just like make it a little fun, but also explain what value they're going to get out of it.
Do you find that like crazy colorful, like cartoony looking images work best, or do you find like photos that look like they almost fit in naturally into your Facebook feed work best?
I think it depends on who you're targeting.
Dang it, there's no like silver bullet, huh?
No. I would test it. Try them both. Like do the same ad copy with one of the cartoony images and then with just a regular image of maybe a past conference or something.
That's really the name.
See what performs better.
Ads, right? You just got to test.
Always. Yeah. Yeah.
Another question I heard this recently, was that it's more effective to, instead of artificially trying to think about the demographics of who you should target your ad to, instead just target to a general group of people and let the Facebook algorithm figure out who it should be targeting. I recently heard that that's a better way to go than to try to narrow down a specific audience yourself. What have you found to be the case? Yeah,
I agree. I think giving it some guidelines is great. Like, don't just leave it open to every single person in the United States, or Canada or Australia, but give them something. Like if you're targeting men, put males, like give some kind of age range, but don't go too narrow, because you'll be surprised and you think you know your audience and you don't really. Right. So yeah, like Facebook's really good at understanding who's going to click and who's going to convert. So just give them the ability to do that.
Yeah, and like for computer repair, I mean, that's definitely like gender agnostic. But maybe you're looking for like a certain age range. Like I know some folks, like working with elderly customers, and some folks are looking for kind of the professional age, if like people who might be owning a business or something like that. But yeah, that's something I need to try, because in the past when I've run Facebook ads, I've tried to really focus in on a narrow niche, because I'm like, I don't want to show my ad to people who aren't going to be interested in it. But Facebook's algorithm is such that it's able to kind of intelligently figure that out based on who's looking at it and clicking on it and doing it that way. So yeah, that's something definitely. I just learned, and that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're only targeting go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, if you're only targeting like people in a city, don't do the entire US. Like
right.
Narrow where you can, but don't waste your ad money either. So, but yeah, other than that, I would just let Facebook figure it out for you.
Cool. Good. That's less work for me.
Yeah.
But really the work goes into like the messaging, right? And the images and figuring that stuff out.
It does. And then you can use lookalike audiences, which are extremely powerful. Like if you have an email list of like 500 people, upload that to Facebook and create a lookalike audience, and Facebook will figure out why those people are similar and will start targeting people like them, which is extremely powerful. Can't be understated.
Cool. So let's see, in the chat, Brian says computer repair is gender agnostic. However, 90% of my calls from residential clients from my Facebook marketing are from females in the home. So that's interesting. So he discovered through his Facebook ads that there is a certain, demographic of client that are drawn to his advertising. So yeah. So again, that's awesome. You can't assume, right?
Exactly. Huh.
Yeah. So we kind of covered a little bit about Facebook ads. So let's talk about Google AdWords, because that's something else that you've been doing, right?
Yep.
So what are I don't know. I didn't prepare any questions for Google AdWords. So just in general, what are some things that you're learning? What are some things that maybe, because I know AdWords are just becoming more and more competitive. And what are some just kind of maybe a few tips that you can give us when running Google AdWords campaigns that we don't know?
I think learn the basics is really important. For some reason, people are great at narrowing down their targeting to a city on Facebook, but when it comes to Google, they do not input just a city. And I see, like, I'll be searching for something and I'm in Philadelphia and I'll see like a California company come up and I'm like, why? You're like wasting so much money. If someone clicks on that, there's no way they're going to become your customer. So that is a big deal. And then if you have your phone number in the ad, if you're closed from 8 p.m. to 9 a.m., turn off the phone number option during those hours. I've seen even like big companies do this, like I forget, it was like a big furniture company actually did this. They had their call extension still active at like 10 o'clock at night. And I called because I just wanted to show them that they were doing something wrong, but nobody was there. So you kind of waste your money on those.
And then you send them a cold email saying, hey,
yeah,
you have this thing wrong with your Google ads.
Yeah, actually I just posted it on my website as a blog post, so it's okay.
Yep, very cool.
Yeah.
I like that. You know, for me, I think the big thing to get across to folks is the difference between the person who is viewing a Google ad versus a Facebook ad. Because with a Google ad, they're searching for a specific thing, whereas in Facebook, they're not. They're just, your ad is kind of showing up, and so in Facebook, you know, I think it's a big deal to be entertaining and to provide value, you know, lots of free value and stuff. Whereas with Google, you know, they want their computer fixed, so you can kind of link straight to your, you know, your services page, or hey, hire us now kind of thing. Is that
exactly.
Is that what you see as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's push marketing versus pull marketing. So in Facebook, you're pushing out your message, and in Google, they're coming to you. So you don't have to. You still have to work hard, but you don't have to work as hard to get in front of them because they're finding you on their own. So I think it's really important to just remember that and make sure with your Google ads that you still have a call to action, like click here to get pricing or something like that, so that people are enticed to actually click on your ad.
Very cool. Good. Well, I think we covered a lot of good tips about transitioning your marketing from part-time to full-time, and then some great, those were some great tidbits for both Facebook and Google ads. So Chenell, stick around. I'm going to do a sponsor spot really quick, and then we'll jump into reviewing a couple of the Facebook group posts.
Cool.
All right. So the second sponsor for today is Computer Business Breakthrough. Computer Business Breakthrough is a training course that will teach you how to take your computer consulting business to the next level. Computer Business Breakthrough is really for computer businesses who you are a solo consultant, or you maybe have a few employees, and you don't really want to grow, and you don't want to manage too many employees, and you don't want to grow into a multi-million-dollar MSP. Instead, you just want to kind of do what you love. You want to make good money doing it, and you want to increase your value. You want to kind of grow your business how it is, make more money, but not necessarily take on the burdens of growing into a huge business. And that's kind of what Computer Business Breakthrough is about. It's basically the story of myself and Lisa Hendrickson, who is my co-presenter in this course, and we talk about how we became experts in our niche. So she's an expert in Outlook and Office 365, and I'm an expert in WordPress and websites and that sort of thing. And we found what we're passionate about, and we focused in on that. So kind of like I was talking with Chenell about, how it seems counterintuitive to focus in, to narrow down your focus on a very specific niche. It actually turns out, we've all heard the riches are in the niches, right? You have to, in order to not be competing on price and not be competing with the big names out there, to focus in and become the expert on virus removals or the expert on data recovery. You could even be like the expert on virus removals in Michigan, for example, and that way you can stay local. And you can just be the go-to person for virus removals. But the cool thing about being the expert is that you don't have to just focus locally. You can broaden nationally and say, talk to all of your computer repair friends and say, hey, if you get a data recovery issue that you can't handle, refer them to me. I'll give you a great deal. And you could be the go-to person for that particular thing. Lisa did that with Office 365 and Outlook. I did that with WordPress, and that's kind of what we teach you to do in Computer Business Breakthrough. So it's a video training series. There are, let's see, how many modules were there? There are 10 modules, and each module has a few videos, and we just kind of go through, how we set up our business. So it's a very behind-the-scenes look at how we went about choosing our niches, how we set our prices to be premium prices, how we deliver service delivery to make sure that you're delivering service like a world-class business. We talk about choosing partners and outsourcing. And then we get into lots of marketing, like, your website, writing blog posts. We even get into things like doing webinars and podcasts and video, social media, all that stuff. So it's kind of just a comprehensive look at how you can build your business as an expert. So check that out. It's very affordable, and it's a lot of fun. And hey, you get to listen to me for lots and lots of hours. So if you like this podcast, then maybe you'll like this as well. It's you can find out more at computerbusinessbreakthrough.com. All right, so let's go head over to the Computer Business Marketing Facebook page. If you guys aren't already in there, head to techsitebuilder.com/group. And that will forward you to the Computer Business Marketing Facebook page. And that's where we talk about a lot of cool marketing stuff for computer businesses. So the first post I wanted to highlight was from Troy Wolf. And he says, wow, I ran a radio ad for 5 months over a year ago on the local talk radio AM station. And then it hasn't run after that for over 15 months. I just got a call because of it. And then he asked, does anyone else have a brand awareness campaign that paid off almost 2 years later? So I think that's just a great, I chose to bring this up in the show because that's a great example of how certain brand, especially like brand awareness, doesn't give you an ROI right away. And this happens with Facebook ads. This happens with, ads you put in the paper, phone book, stuff you put out there. Might not result in an immediate ROI, but it gets your brand out there. And eventually, like for the radio ad, that's, I was telling this to Chenell earlier, but those jingles in the radio ads that are like so annoying, but you can't forget them. And there's a reason for that. And that's because 2 years later, when you need the service, you remember, 1-800, whatever. And then you're like, I'll call this guy because that's the only person I remember from the radio ad. So it seems like that really worked for Troy. And then in the comments, Patrick mentioned the phone book where he has people still calling him, even though it's been years since he's advertised in the phone book. People keep phone books around for years. So, he's still getting calls from that, and that's still paying off. Bruce said that he had some publicity in a newspaper that he gets calls for years later. So I think this is all just kind of great examples of how advertising kind of ends up paying off years down the road. Chenell, have you ran into anything like this where maybe, someone who you either did a marketing campaign or someone who heard about you years before ended up using your services?
Not me personally, but I know those car jingles are very catchy, and I would remember them if I had to go buy a car.
Yes. And that's the reason. Those, sometimes and of course it has to fit your personality, but those annoying ads that you just can't get out of your mind, they definitely get in your brain and help you. Just make sure for all of these that your contact info and your business name are repeated or upfront and easily distinguishable, so that when they do try to remember you down the road, that they can. So that goes into like naming your business, making sure your business has a catchy name, a unique name, so they don't get confused with something else.
And don't change your phone number.
Don't change your phone. Oh, good point. Yes,
right?
Change your phone number. That's right. So cool. So I thought that was just kind of a fun little thing that just kind of reminds you that these branding and marketing exercises can work far down the line. Okay, we got a kind of a long post, so I'm going to wait. No, that's not it. There it is. It's longish, but this is about Facebook ads. Daniel says that he and his fiance are managing a part-time computer business. So this kind of applies to you, this whole episode. Since they both work full-time, but they spend a big deal of time on it. Recently, they gave Facebook ads a shot and decided to boost one of their posts that we thought would attract people to hit the contact us button. And they said it didn't work. Not one person contacted us. Do you find this to be the norm nowadays? In previous years, I've tried the normal ads to get likes and it worked, although none seem to have turned into actual customers. We don't seem to be able to get past 255 likes, and we post more than our competitors do. And I think we also post more informative content, but maybe we are attracting the wrong people? ? So, what I know you probably have some thoughts on this. What advice would you give to Daniel based on this post?
I would say don't worry too much about the Facebook likes. And for boosting posts, I definitely don't recommend it. If you can, like you can still use the same ad, but go into the ads manager and create an ad using that post itself. Because if your messaging is correct and everything looks great, you can't target specific people with a boosted post. You can't say, I want to show them to my past website visitors or anything like that. And you also can't decide where it shows up. So you can't necessarily say, I only want this to be on Instagram or on Facebook. They kind of just pick for you. So I would definitely recommend taking the extra minute or two and creating the ad from the ads manager and not just hitting that shiny blue button that they make look so enticing.
They make it so easy, right? Just click a button.
Yeah.
You can
exactly.
And then how do you know that your Facebook ads are paying off? Like I know people feel like they're putting money into Facebook ads and they don't see a direct result from people calling them through the ad. So are there other metrics you can be tracking or is it just something you do and just have faith that it's going to pay off?
I would say check your click-through rate and make sure it's like decent, like 3% or above. If not, I would say fix your ad, make it more enticing, make people want to click on it. If you're not offering a discount, offer 15% off or something that's kind of going to make somebody click. Otherwise, I mean, if your click-through rate is like 0.02, you probably have either the wrong targeting, that like you're showing it to the wrong people, or the messaging is off.
Right.
So definitely tweak some things and
where should you be? Where should you? What are some examples of where you should be leading people when they do click? Because it sounds like Daniel mentioned a contact us button, but to me that seems very very like general and doesn't really speak to a specific thing. And I'm not sure even where that led. Did that lead to his contact page or what? But what are some examples of good places to have the Facebook ad lead when you click it?
So Facebook has this thing called lead ads where you can collect like email addresses and stuff like that right from the ad. And I have not seen success with them very often. Most of the time you pay less to get a customer through a landing page. So if you go and build a landing page either on your website or with lead pages or something, usually that performs better. And sometimes you don't even need a button on your ad. Just say like, in the text, say like, click here to save 15%, and they'll click on the image and you don't need a button. Sometimes those perform better.
Right, like right in the image itself?
Or in the text. So you'll just say like, want to save 15% on your computer repair, click here now. We're offering this to 50 people only, to kind of give some urgency. And you actually have to stick with that 50 people, try not to lie. So just tell people to click in the text and you don't necessarily need a button on the ad. So that's something to test. And like you alluded to, I wouldn't know where contact us would lead me. Is it going to call someone? Is it going to message them?
And if your expectation also like doesn't match what it actually happens, then there could be a disconnect there.
Right. And if they don't know you, I mean, I feel like contact us is like a hard sell. It's like, I have to contact someone right now. And I don't know.
Yeah. So, and you keep saying this, and I think it just needs to be kept being said is test. That's something to test. You said you didn't say that's something that will work or that's something that, you need to do. You said that's something to test. And I think that's the big thing to keep in mind is as you're doing these things, some things might work, some things might not work. But if one thing doesn't work, it doesn't mean that Facebook ads just aren't going to work for you. It just means maybe try something else or try a different approach or try different messaging, try a different type of ad, try different targeting. There's so many different variables that you can try. So I have a quick question before we leave. And this might help other people, but how do you manage expectations for your clients? Because I know you probably have clients coming to you thinking that you're going to be a miracle worker and you're going to get them all these clients right away with Facebook ads. What are some things you do to kind of manage those expectations? Let them know it's going to maybe take some work before they see results.
Yeah. On all of my prospecting calls, like before I take money from anyone, I let them know like that first month is usually testing and we may not get as many clients as you want to. And maybe we'll get to like $5 cost per lead in month 2, but month 1, we might waste all of our money. And usually that doesn't happen, but I like to kind of set that expectation so that they know like it's going to take time. Like even if I'm looking at this every day for 30 days and like we're still trying to test and figure out what's working, it's going to take some time. So just kind of set that expectation up front.
And some of that expectation setting can actually be done on the website or in blog posts as well, so that, you know, or a newsletter, like a drip email campaign or something.
Yep.
And that way they're not shocked when they have that first conversation, because that could probably happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Chenell. If folks wanted to reach out to you for help with any of this stuff, or if they just wanted to kind of connect with you, where's the best place to do that?
I'm pretty active on Twitter these days. So Hustle to Startup is my handle, or you can go to hustletostartup.com and just hit the contact me button.
Cool. All right. We'll have links to all of that stuff in the show notes as well. So thanks. I learned a lot. I hope other folks did as well. Thanks for being a guest, and we'll keep in touch.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
All right, guys. So that's going to do it for this episode of the Computer Business Marketing Show. Let's keep the conversation going, though. So if you don't happen to be part of the live feed here, go on, head on over to computerbusinessmarketing.com and let us know what you think about this episode or any of the other episodes. There's comments under each episode, and you can read the show notes. You can get all the links that we talk about. All that stuff is available at computerbusinessmarketing.com. Also, don't forget to join us in the Facebook group, the Computer Business Marketing Group. Just go to techsitebuilder.com/group. And then, of course, we love to hear from you in the different podcasting places like iTunes or Stitcher. So if you listen to the show in any of those places, definitely love to hear a review. Let us know what you think. Also, this show is available in YouTube, so you can always watch this after the fact. If you want to watch instead of listen, you can watch on YouTube. And we'd love to hear your comments on YouTube as well, or just wherever you hear this show. Love to hear from you. And finally, don't forget to check out our sponsors, Tech Site Builder and Computer Business Breakthrough. And also check out the Unconvention at unconvention.io. Thank you guys for checking out the Computer Business Marketing Show. My name is Matthew Rodella, saying here's to your success.